The day I lost my 3-year-old son in one of the most violent cities in Mexico. I lost my 3-year-old son while selling burritos and thought I would never see him again. This story begins because back then I had the dream of becoming a nurse. I was selling burritos in a neighborhood in Tijuana. I had a tricycle. I'm going to show it to you here, but it was a tricycle where in the front part, I placed a big cooler, a big thermos where I made hibiscus water. And there I put my 3-year-old son and took him with me every morning to sell burritos. Although I started slowly, I then realized that the best customers were at school recesses. There were several schools in that neighborhood, so I already knew the schedules and went around them. It must be said that my son was super obedient, very well behaved. If I told him so, stay here, don't move, he always obeyed. But as time went by, as the days passed, he started feeling more confident, not only on the tricycle, but also in the places where we went to sell. And he would wait there quietly. But at one of the schools, which was an elementary school, well, they were kids who all went out to the yard. I sold them burritos through the fence. I mean, they didn't leave the school and I couldn't go in, but there were large spaces where I gave them the burritos, and there he waited and everything, right? My son. One fine day, he said to me, Mommy, can I get down? And it was just to get down right next to me at first. But it so happened that people started coming to me here outside the school, not just the children, but I was becoming more famous with my burritos. And at that moment, adults gathered to buy burritos, and I kept selling, selling. I lost track of time, and when the bell rang, I mean, the children went back to school from their recess, or the people here started leaving while I was still selling, and I turned around and didn't see the child, and I started to shout, they go. And I looked towards the schoolyard. It was a huge school from one street to another street, like an entire block. So for a 3-year-old child, that space seemed enormous to me. And I turned around because I was almost in the middle and could see, but I didn't see him anywhere. I ran from one corner, ran to the other, found a few. There were 2, 3 kids who were already going into a classroom, and I shouted at them, Hey, have you seen a child, a little child, 3 years old? To everyone I ran into, I kept asking, and everyone said, No, no, no. For a moment, you know that in those moments of fear and terror, it feels like a lot of time has already passed. So I said, an adult took him, they stole him from me. And I didn't know at that time that there were cell phones or anything. So I didn't want to, I kept running looking for him, right? I was saying, I'll go back home to see what happened, to see if they can help me. In my house where I lived with my parents, and they were always there, so I could go ask my parents for help, but I didn't know. I kept thinking 1,000 things that, well, I wasn't going to see him again. I think it took me, with everything I'm telling you, maybe about 15 minutes to find it, but it felt like an eternity. And also, the only good thing is that I didn't leave. I mean, the area, I kept running until I was farther away. I mean, almost at the end of where I was, but inside the school, there were some swings. There was the child on the swings. And well, no, he was so tiny. Honestly, I couldn't see him like that well until I got closer. And since I was, I think, like crazy, frantic, and I saw him there, and I shouted and said, Come here. And where did you go? And well, she came walking just fine. And there was like a space in the fence that she had found a space bigger. I don't know if there was a missing bar or what, but the fact is that he got in through there and was playing there. Well, I grabbed him, hugged him. Honestly, I didn't scold him. I was a very scolding mother, but at that moment, I didn't say anything. I just hugged him, crying, and told him I was really scared. That I thought that he didn't understand much, because I told him I thought he had been kidnapped, that I wasn't going to see him again. And I just hugged him and told him, and he was like, Well, here I am. Now, after all that, I want to give you more context about everything I learned and to understand a little bit what was happening in my life at that moment. I tell you that it was a dream to be a nurse. So I had gone to inquire about studying nursing at the Ibero-American School, which was also there in that same neighborhood. Certainly, it was a much more affordable profession to pay for that degree than the other degrees that were available at the Ibero. But anyway, even being affordable, I couldn't pay those amounts. And what I found out was that I could get an educational loan and pay it off. And also another part like a scholarship. So I was going to do that, but I did have to gather some money to start. By that time, I had already worked in pharmacies, sold cakes, done many things. And the only thing that occurred to me, don't think I was a great burrito cook, but the only thing that occurred to me, I said, food like this, taking it to sell at places seemed like quick money to me, that it was, well, always going to be in demand. I would say there are always places where people don't bring lunch, are hungry, want to buy. And that's how I started. And I got that. Well, my dad, who saved my life so many times, he bought me that tricycle. In the tricycle that I told you, I put the child, the burritos, and everything. Well, that's how it was. And I want to give you a tip because it still is. I know it's very, very tiring because I would get up really early. I don't remember if it was at 5 in the morning to prepare them, right? But by the time, I don't know, by 1 or 2 in the afternoon, I had already sold all the burritos. The idea of going to the schools worked out very well for me because before I used to go around many places, many businesses, and it was very little that I sold compared to the schools. When I discovered that, I noted the schedules they had. There were high schools, elementary schools, so there were different schedules for their breaks, recess, and so on. I would arrive, sell at one, pedal on the bike, quickly go to another, and that's how I managed to get in to school to study, which honestly I really love. I loved fulfilling my dream, and that's what I want to tell you. Whenever we want to fulfill a dream, there is a way is that we make the decision. Now I have it completely proven. It's just saying yes, yes, I want this, or yes, I want to do it, and doors start opening to achieve it. Another thing I learned is that whenever fear takes over our mind, we lose control. I think I could have found it maybe faster than it took me, which felt eternal if I had gone more calmly to say, well, let's see. To go through the whole school as I did to the very last corners, but as I was thinking thousands of things in my mind because of fear, I think my vision also gets a bit clouded, being like that, wanting the child to appear here. And it wasn't possible if I were with more, I don't know, more attention, more tranquility, more calm. Another thing I learned was I said, Alicia, you are a child taking care of another child. By that time, I had my son at 19, so at 19 years old. Then 2021, I think I was about 22 years old. And my dad adored my son, and my son also adored him. Yes, they had many grandchildren, my parents, and I think they love and loved them a lot. But at that time, since I think we lived there, a bond was also created, right? That my son followed my dad a lot, and my dad followed him. So he was always telling me, Alicia, be careful with the child. Alicia, if you're going out this. Oh no, so much. Even when I went, where was I going to sit him? For example, in the shopping basket, when I went shopping, where was I going to sit him? The child, this, that, and the other. So I felt at that moment, honestly, I felt a fear. What am I going to tell my dad because I lost him?
And I also discovered that because sometimes we have things in the subconscious that if we don't bring them out, I said, hey, I'm really worried about what my dad would say if I had lost him, if he had been stolen from me. All I felt like a child's fear, like a child's fear of what I was going to tell my dad that this happened. And well, I realized that I had it. And you can, once you become aware, you can say, I have this, and you know what to do with it, right? So to say, no, I am the mom, I am responsible. One thing is that my dad loves him a lot and wants to protect him, and another thing is me creating fears and guilt, etc., etc. So, well, with this story, I am so happy, like with all the ones I will be telling you about the learning, but that my son was not lost, to have been able to find this path to start my nursing career, and having finished the nursing career, and so many things I still have to tell you, because I was very, very happy providing care to other people. So I send you a big hug. Subscribe, share this story with someone else. And until the next story,